Hello, friend. I want to tell you about the Mitsubishi Lancer car. Of the several engines offered for this model, only one came from a German manufacturer. Designated as 2.0 DID, it was a 2.0 TDI PD, installed in Lancers from 2008 to 2010, so for a relatively short time. Then Mitsubishi prepared its own diesel unit, although this term it doesn't quite fit. It was a diesel with a low compression ratio, high work culture, and better performance if we're talking about a more powerful version. According to mechanics, this is the only diesel worth considering, but there may be a problem here too. 2.0 DID or 1.8 DID MIVEC. Which diesel is better for Mitsubishi Lancer? All the numbers clearly indicate a newer design. The diesels from Japan produced since 2010 should also be in better condition due to their age. The 1.8 engine develops 150 horsepower and 300 nanometers of torque, but there was also a version with 116 horsepower and 300 nanometers. For comparison, the 2-liter TDI has 140 horsepower and 310 nanometers. Smaller capacity means at least slightly lower insurance costs. Opinions about the 2.0 TDI PD unit, the first 2-liter TDI with pump injectors, are clearly negative when it comes to German cars. The situation is different with the Japanese. If you search the internet, users tend to praise this engine and claim that it is a failure-free design. It's just a matter of scale. Just look at the sales ads. For example, the Passat B6 was offered with this engine until 2008. There are 10 times more sales offers for this model than for the Lancer. However, when it comes to this particular engine, there are over 200 Passats with 2.0 TDI and 7 Lancers on Allegro. If 4 people are happy with this engine, that's a majority. And you also have to consider the fact that not everyone is active on the internet. Let's add to this the different specifics of customers of both brands. And we have the answer to the question, why do Mitsubishi engines break down less often? The fact is, however, that the Volkswagen design went to Mitsubishi after the first problems were already known, so there was time for corrections. Unofficially, I learned that the head of the engine intended for the Lancer was cast from a better material which has a lower tendency to crack. However, problems with the accessories appear just as in German cars. Does this mean that the 2.0 DID is worse than the 1.8 DID? Not necessarily. If you buy a well-maintained Mitsubishi diesel car with low mileage, the only concern will be the DPF filter. The equipment is very reliable and durable, and the whistle characteristic of worn turbochargers is a common occurrence in this engine. However, repairs may be a problem. Parts for this engine are expensive, mainly the injection system, and there is no way around it. Unlike the Volkswagen diesel, which is a frequent guest in workshops due to its popularity and failure rate, and manufacturers of replacements have prepared an offer of cheaper parts. So the choice between 2.0 DID and 1.8 DID is a choice between high failure rate and cheaper repairs, or low failure rate and much more expensive repairs. It is also better to buy a 2.0 diesel with low mileage and a known history than a 1.8 from an uncertain source. Forget about diesels. Choose a petrol-powered Lancer. First of all, it is easier to buy one, and the risk of failure is minimal. 2 petrol units with a capacity of 1.5 minus 1.6 and 1.8 liters are designs that there are no reservations about. Mechanics claim that these are engines for several 100,000 kilometers and can only be finished on gas. It is enough to neglect the adjustment of valve clearances. Interestingly, for some time, Mitsubishi offered a factory gas installation for the Lancer, and the valve seats in the engines were hardened. However, user experiences are positive even after installing LPG on their own. The weaker 1.5 MIVEC engines with 109 horsepower and 1.6 MIVEC with 117 horsepower can be recommended for people with a relaxed driving style. The 1.8 MIVEC unit develops 140 to 143 horsepower and is also not particularly dynamic, but it already provides performance to match the car's appearance. Because it must be admitted that the Lancer's silhouette promises a lot. Fuel consumption is another matter. Smaller units, which do not encourage you to press the gas pedal, can average 7L, 100 kilometers, and even go down to 5L, 100 kilometers on the highway. The larger 1.8 engine uses about 8 to 9L, 100 kilometers. Fuel consumption will be worse with the CVT automatic, but skillful handling of this transmission can also make the consumption similar to the manual. A few words about the CVT automatic transmission, which is rarely found in this model. It is failure-free, at least that is what mechanics say. It is impossible to find negative opinions about it, but here again the issue of scale must be raised. Unofficially, I learned from one of the authorized services that they have never had a problem with CVT in the Lancer. When you have such a car, it is worth being gentle with the gas pedal. I deliberately do not mention the Lancer 2.0 MyVec 150 horsepower for a simple reason. There are almost no such models. They are quickly picked up by fans of the brand and bought in a flash. There is no room for any reservations about this engine either. Corrosion? Not in Mitsubishi Lancer, but watch out for paint. The delicate paint is the only drawback of the car's body. It is thin and easy to damage. Surprisingly, the Lancer does not rust, although this happens in other models of this brand. The key to success is good protection of the chassis on your own, because there is no factory one. Cars often left showrooms with additional anti-corrosion protection offered by dealers. Such cars practically have no problems with rust. If you buy a model without anti-corrosion protection, it is worth doing it. In the youngest cars, the problem of corrosion of engine cover bolts is known. It is also worth insuring the car against theft. Some users complain about the creaking interior, low-quality materials, but that's all you can complain about. The Lancer's interior lacks much flair, but it provides everything you need: space and comfort. The car was offered in two body versions: a sedan with a 377-liter trunk and an impractical hatchback with a trunk with a capacity of only 344 liters. Suspension on 6. The multi-link rear suspension and McPherson at the front are Japanese classics. The Lancer's handling is exemplary, and in this class of cars, it is one of the best models in terms of driving characteristics. What's more, the chassis elements are very durable, and what wears out can be purchased as a replacement. The rear axle consists of one large wishbone and smaller auxiliary ones. All the elements apart from the main wishbone of the rear axle cost about the same as for other compact cars. Unlike ASO, car shops also offer single bushes, so there is no problem with servicing the Lancer's running gear. It is worth adding here that some users complain about vibrations when braking. As it turns out, it is often the fault not of the front brake discs, but of the rear ones, which heat up when the brake caliper does not work properly. Thank you for listening to me. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my video. If you know of any problems with this car that I did not mention, be sure to write about them in the comments.